Welcome back to Inside Games, the only channel brave enough to ask the hard questions about Starfield.
Here's a hot one for you. Here's a hard question. Do you even remember what Starfield is?
What? Come on, man! It's the cool game from Bethesda, the Skyrim with space. Remember they showed it? They said Starfield, and that was all I remember.
Remember that logo? We haven't heard anything about it since its June 2018 announcement, which means Todd is just counting all of his Skyrim money and he can't make the darn game.
Luckily, a fat load of leaks this week proved that Uncle Todd is working hard on the next game, like we all knew he would. Not to mention hot tabloid gossip regarding Starfield's release date.
So just for context, there is a reason people are curious about Starfield outside of simply being, the next game from the studio that made Skyrim and Oblivion and Home Alone on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Bethesda announced the game back in June of 2018. Man, that was a long time ago. And we haven't heard a peep about it since, not at all.
Yeah, and even Big Todd himself is a little confused why the game is in headlines again all of a sudden.
I think it's gotten really good hype for a game no one's seen.
But what did happen is that Microsoft acquired Bethesda, we actually reported on this, and all of its studios in September last year.
Yeah, so some natural questions pop out of that. Is Starfield still in full development? Will it be an Xbox and PC exclusive? And will we still be able to mod giant-titted Macho Man dinosaurs into the game?
Where there are mods, anime tits are not far behind.
And thanks to this week's leaks, we're finally getting some hints about the first two questions I asked there as well. Starting with a slew of images supposedly from Starfield that leaked onto Reddit, giving us our first look at the game's potential structure and world.
The first photo leaked back in September depicting the player in front of what seems to be a base. Since then, more images have hit Reddit, revealing bits of lore and environments that players are likely to explore.
The photo also seemingly confirmed that Starfield will be a third-person RPG, which is kind of new for a Bethesda IP. Both Fallout and The Elder Scrolls have been first-person since Todd Howard took over each franchise, starting with The Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, and Fallout 3. Granted, there have been options to switch between those points of views in previous Bethesda titles, so could be the case for Starfield as well.
The new batch of leaked photos show a laboratory along with Axion Energy and TEC displayed on the walls. Both are also seen on this outdoor shot where it looks to be like some sort of tarp.
Obviously, let's disclose this early, nothing has been confirmed yet, since Bethesda hasn't announced anything, but the going theory on Reddit is that Axion Energy is the major production and energy company of this world.
Another small but noteworthy detail found in this image right here mentions the Space Nation Alliance, or SNA for short.
Seeing a few explicitly labeled groups implies Starfield will have various NPC factions, which, should be no shock at all if you spend a few minutes in any modern Bethesda RPG.
It's kind of their MO, isn't it? Like, you want to be a vampire or a werewolf? Which one do you want to be? Maybe you could do missions for the SNA, but that will mean that the TEC ships will attack you if they see you. That's like every other Bethesda game you've ever played.
The same image also references a, quote, Starfield Alliance, which could be the top of the chain of command while all the factions are sort of allied or fill a role under it. No one knows for sure.
Other images, part of this recent leak include this big black craft, as well as this unique looking helmet.
So yeah, the aesthetic notes are kind of interesting here. We got exposed metal and chunky plating with, muted but sort of effective uses of color. That helmet has a nice green and orange pairing to it. From this, we could generically interpret that Starfield's version of space is maybe a bit more dirty and blue collar and working class than something like Star Wars, where everything's very neat and clean. That said, the bases do have some pretty clean and rounded paneling and stuff like that, so it might be a mix, or maybe the different factions each have their own aesthetic as to what their equipment and environments look like.
Lawrence, I have a question for you. Can we make our spaceships have the weed skin on it?
I'm going to say that there will be mods 30 minutes from when the game comes out that put weed leaves over everything, and it'll be fine for about 6 months. But then Bethesda will clamp down on it because they want to sell you weed leaf DLC.
All of what Lawrence just said is not confirmed, but a helmet is confirmed. Todd Howard, you done it again. Take my $60. I'll be playing Starfield for the next 15 years on the PlayStation 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Also, Todd, you better clear out some space on that trophy shelf, because once those helmets get out there, man, Jeff Keighley's going to have his hands full handing you trophies.
Well, hold on a minute, Lawrence. We don't actually know when Todd is going to pocket that $60 or maybe even $70.
But apparently we do, Bruce. You got to keep up. Yeah, video game people have tweeted.
They don't never do that, Lawrence. That never happens.
Yeah, you're right. They broke the red ribbon to tweet.
God bless games media people trying to out-gossip each other. Sheesh.
Whatever. After a nice round of Twitter, he said, she said, they said, we still don't have an official answer from Bethesda or Xbox, but Premier Games tabloid columnist Jason Schreier sounds mighty confident that the sci-fi RPG is coming out late 2022.
Sensing that people on the internet might be buzzing around gossip that didn't come directly from him, Schreier went to Twitter and said, quote, "Let me make this very clear. Bethesda's plan is to tease a release date for Starfield at E3, meaning this year. That date is in late 2022. I'll leave the specifics to them, but please keep your expectations in check and refrain from sending death threats when the other rumors turn out to be false."
It's been a while since I've read a tweet that's more condescending than that. I mean, not only did he leak it, but then he's showing the grace by not leaking everything, and then he's lecturing people about how to receive that. God damn, whatever. So this post came after VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb told Kinda Funny's Blessing that he was, quote, right about Starfield release date.
On an episode of Kinda Funny Gamescast, Blessing proposed the thought of Starfield releasing in spring 2022 to clear room in the fall for what we presume to be Xbox's flagship, Halo Infinite.
I don't think it's the fact that they wouldn't publish like two big games close to each other. I think it's I just think it's the biggest games. I think between Starfield and Halo Infinite being your two like big, those are the biggest titles you have as Xbox. And so if you have, for me, if I was them, I'd be like, all right, cool. Let's position Wolfenstein 3 with Halo Infinite for this fall. That might be working as two first-person shooters, but let's say Wolfenstein 3, Starfield for this fall, Halo Infinite for next spring, or vice versa. Like I would mix it up a little bit more instead of doing like the two biggest titles you have.
Naturally, this led to people believing verbatim that Starfield would release sometime in that window.
Grubb then later clarified on Twitter saying, quote, "It was my own fault for trying to have fun with Blessing on the internet and not anticipating how people would work backward from that. I was really trying to say that Starfield is not coming out this year. The only date I feel confident sharing as coming from Bethesda is 2022.
The news from Schreier also contradicts the idea of a 2021 release that was stated by Special Ed on the Xbox Era podcast.
The reason I believe Starfield is 2021 is because Microsoft have already purchased ad time for it.
So apparently Microsoft has purchased ad time for the game for this year, which would certainly imply that it's releasing this year. But even Ed clarified that doesn't guarantee anything.
Thankfully, E3 is coming up soon. It's running June 12th to 15th, so hopefully we can stop running around like space chickens with our space heads cut off with a space knife, wondering what the actual release date is. Fingers crossed. Crossing your space fingers sounds like a sexual maneuver we haven't invented yet.
Out of all this, we did get some definitive info, which is to say someone randomly reaffirmed what we already knew, but that didn't stop everyone writing about it anyway.
So yeah, the biggest questions lingering on everyone's mind the instant Microsoft acquired Bethesda are their games still coming to PlayStation, or specifically, is Starfield coming to PlayStation?
Not sure why you even ask, because the answer is no. I mean, we said this a long time ago.
Yeah, of course it's no. But we need Twitter games people to confirm it, I guess. So yeah, Jeff Grubb confirmed as much on Twitter, confidently stating, quote, "Starfield is exclusive to Xbox and PC, period. This is me confirming that."
This shouldn't have surprised anybody. Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox himself, stated that the Bethesda acquisition is, quote, "is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists."
Okay, now let's see if we can get from A to B. Let's figure this out. All right, is Game Pass on PC?
Yes.
Great. So Starfield probably coming to PC. All right, we're doing great. Is Game Pass on Xbox?
Hold on. Let me think about it. Yes.
All right, now for the big one, and this is the tricky one because I've kind of misdirected you here. Is Game Pass on PlayStation?
Hold on. I got to really dive deep into my knowledge here. This is going to take a while. To carry the 3 times 45. Wait, no, it's not.
Okay, but to be fair, like, now I'm the one being condescending, but let's be fair. Microsoft acquired Obsidian Entertainment shortly before The Outer Worlds launched back in October 2019, and The Outer Worlds still shipped on PlayStation platforms. So there is a bit of a reason and an expectation that maybe possibly that could happen.
We're a few years away from Starfield, whereas the Outer Worlds happened because Obsidian had already entered into a publishing agreement for the game when Microsoft acquired them. Microsoft wisely chose to not force their new acquisition to violate the contract with PlayStation.
Odds are Starfield didn't have a publishing agreement in place when Microsoft acquired Bethesda in September 2019, which of course they wouldn't if the game's not even launching until late 2022, or even 2021. That's way too early. On
top of that, you don't spend $7.5 billion to acquire studios and then put their games on the competing platforms. That's the worst business.
Yeah, I've seen some commentary from people saying, but they're going to lose out on sales, and they would still make money if they publish on PlayStation platforms. Those things are true, but come on, man. Microsoft has said over and over and over that their focus is Game Pass. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. And that's everything they're driving revenue towards. Publishing outside of Game Pass doesn't do that, so they're not going to do it. Seems pretty obvious to me, but people still, I guess, want to believe.
It could have looked a lot different if Microsoft didn't make that hefty purchase.
Yeah, this is an interesting bit. So according to Game Informer, there was reportedly a point where Sony was in talks with Bethesda to make Starfield a timed exclusive on PlayStation 5, similar to what they did with the upcoming Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, but that never came to fruition, apparently. Which I'm kind of okay. Timed exclusivity blows. But I mean, if the developers are getting money for it, and if that pushes a project from maybe breaking even to being profitable, okay, make your money. But still, it's a pain.
No, it totally is. You're right. I mean, it's a pain for us, but this is sort of part of our show. It's a pain for us as consumers, but then we also try to think of it from the developer standpoint or the publisher standpoint. It helps those developers to make that game. So, hey, maybe we would have less games if we didn't have exclusivity. Who knows?
Maybe. Or executives would have a few 100,000 less in their bank accounts.
So there you have it. A grip of space images and a late 2022 release date. How you feeling?
I have weird feelings about it. I don't know. I haven't been a super big fan of any mainline Bethesda Softworks game in a while. Fallout 3 was probably the last one where I was like, yeah, this is pretty fun. But 4 felt really weak to me. And what worries me a bit when I look at the screenshots from Starfield is when I see a little spaceman sitting in front of a giant base that looks very obviously built out of like chunks. I worry that it's going to be a game where they want me to go harvest 50 space metals so I can build one space platform and then put down my space bed so that I can space sleep. I don't want it to be a survival sim, and like Fallout 4 was inching in that direction. So I don't want it to be No Man's Sky. I don't want it to be Fallout 4. I want it to be like a mechanically dense RPG, but I don't think that's what Bethesda makes anymore.
That's interesting you say that, because I was thinking that they were going to try the Fallout 4 model, which was make a space-based single-player RPG, and then 6 months later be like, and we got Starfield 76, and then that's their multiplayer, right? They've released that's what I was thinking, but now that you mentioned the survival thing, man, oh man, a lot of people love survival games, and that may be the way they're going here.
Or if I dare to dream, maybe they're making it into a 4X, where it is like exploration, trading, an active system with like trade prices that are fluctuating in every sector, and factions that attack each other and take over regions. So it's like, oh, I want to trade space chickens, but the TEC or whatever owns that territory. So if I want to sell it to them, I got to do all these other quests to get trusted with them. So now I can move my chickens. I don't know, something like that could be a little more interesting than like a No Man's Sky or a 76. We'll see. We'll see. If Bethesda's proven anything, I think they know how to make games that really appeal to mass markets. Yeah. So the experimentation there is mostly what I'm excited to see. How are they going to take concepts that exist now and package them into something that's really accessible and interesting?
I'm genuinely very excited for Starfield because of the genre. I love space. I also do like survival games. I know you're not crazy about it, but I really do. So I'm definitely going to be on this day one, but I am worried that it's going to be kind of half completed like Fallout 4 felt, and then we're going to go over to the multiplayer, which is also half completed Starfield 76. So either way, I hope they do better than they did for Fallout 4. That's what I'm saying here.
That's a good point. Yeah, how crusty and janky is this game going to be when it drops?
Oh, man,
it's on the creation engine.
They love dropping broken games. They really do. But they're derpy in a fun way, so...
Yeah, they're just about the right derpiness. Speaking of just about the right derpiness, our little show has grown a bit. Just wanted to put in a little mention here at the end. Yeah, we now have a contract writer, Cameron Hawkins, who has been published on DualShockers, is now contributing to the script. So thank you, Cameron, for the help. And then just as a side note from me, we're able to do that right now because we have people supporting us through Patreon. If we were just relying on YouTube revenue, the show would not be nearly break even. We'd be still deep in the red. So thank you very much for the people who decided to support us. It truly is helping us grow and helping us continue to invest and grow this show.
Yeah, thank you, Cameron, and thank you, Patreon. Please continue to support it and tell your friends, because we're just making news over here on our little channel. And hey, the only way it gets bigger is if you tell your friends about us.